This is season 3 of Pregnant with Purpose with Miss Regina Hassan.
Hey everyone, it's me, Regina Hassan, your Pregnant with Purpose podcast host. And I'm here today to just talk. That's what they've told me to do. They said just talk. So I want to talk about the space that I'm in right now. Normally or usually, I'm in a pretty good place. But there have been some events that have transpired in my life that have caused me to pause and have given me issues that have caused me to use tissues. I have been dealing with a lot. I have been dealing with a lot a lot of things happening, a lot of events happening in my life. And, sometimes it's just good just to talk about it. I know that there are some people who can relate to what I'm talking about. I've had a season of grief and loss. July 1st of 2022, I lost my dad. And my dad and I, in his latter years, all the years, I've always been my dad's baby girl, but, my dad was always the one for me. And I tell anybody, my relationship with my dad, I think it helped with my relationship with God, because God is seen as God the Father. So because I had such a close relationship with my dad, I think that's why it made it easy for me to receive God as the Father. I always attributed that to having that kind of relation. And once I realized, like what the Bible says, that if your earthly father, loves you that much, think of how much more your heavenly Father will love you. And that always stuck with me. So, when my dad passed away, I can't say that I'm finished grieving, because I don't think there's a finished part to grieving. I think that I miss my dad. I miss him terribly. But when I tell people this, sometimes people understand, sometimes people don't understand. But my dad was the type of person that he was happy in his final years. He was real satisfied. He wasn't wanting for anything. And he was doing the stuff that he liked to do. He was staying in the senior living community. He was playing bingo and dominoes, and he was helping out when they had their church services on Sunday. He was like an usher. He was really satisfied with his life. But toward the end, my dad has glaucoma, and I too have that eye disease. And toward his about the last 6 months of his life, my dad totally lost all of his sight. So he went from being kind of independent to being totally dependent. And I think being real fearful. And I can relate to that because it's scary. The thought about losing my sight, it really frightens me. Glaucoma, the end result, the prognosis for glaucoma is blindness. And for those of you who don't know, glaucoma is the loss of your peripheral vision. So, I have no peripheral. I can't see this side, down here, up here. And eventually glaucoma just closes in till it's just darkness. So I have been diagnosed with severe glaucoma. I don't know if they put that in a stage or whatever, but my dad, when I saw my dad and when my dad lost his sight, it just reminded me of, hey, this is something that's coming my way, and that not having anyone there that could be there, and me being the only person that he really trusted, and being around folks that not necessarily had his best interest in mind, I know he was very, very frightened. So when he got to the point at the very end, when he got to the point where he didn't communicate, he didn't talk anymore. He just stopped talking, and he became very resistant. He was always fighting and being combative with the nurse, with the attendants that were trying to give him service, and so he, ended up in the hospital. And by the time they discovered that, maybe he had, maybe it was his potassium that was causing this problem with him. When by the time they discovered, he had already suffered. He had already gone into cardiac arrest, I think at least 3 times. My father, he passed away. Like I said, July 1st. He was taken off the he was taken off the machine June 30th. And but he breathed on his own until July 1st. And I was sad that my dad was gone, but that was a relief because I know that where my dad is at now, that he's being taken care of, and he doesn't have to worry or be in fear anymore. And the last thing that I said to him was, I'm gonna be okay. And you gonna be okay. And you'll see me again. And that's what I believe. I believe that he's gonna see me again. So that was the deal. That was the deal in the summer, and I had a lot of support. One of the things that my therapist talked to me about is looking at things from a different perspective. And even though like I said, I was really sad, as you can tell, by my father's death. But the perspective that what I had to see, or what I got to see out of all that, even in my dad's death, was simply, man, I found out I was loved by a lot of people, man. That a lot of people love me. That's what I got a chance to witness. So, even though my dad's gone, the memory that I have of him, I always think about that kind of, Dad, he, like me, he liked to make people laugh, and that's one of the things that I like to do. I like to make people laugh, and my dad used to like to do that as well. But I hold on to that memory at his homegoing service, and and we watched a video from his 90th birthday and how happy he was, and that's one of the memories I'll hold dear to him, So, getting through those days of, packing up his stuff, taking care of his affairs, getting through that stuff, got on with that, and pretty well. And one of the things another thing that my dad and I shared is that my mom and my husband died the same year. I lost my husband and my mom 2014. So my dad and I became widow and widower in the same year. So that was like a bond that we had, that we both lost our spouses. So after clearing up all the stuff, of his affairs, and just kind of like getting back into the swing of things, hopefully getting back into the swing of things. I had a furry baby named Ebony, and had her for 15 years. And one morning she woke up and she wouldn't eat. And this is a dog that ate everything. And everybody that know me knew, I don't have any children, but everybody that knows me knew about Ebony. That was her name, Ebony. Ebony Ivory Hassan. And, she and I were two old women living together because she was about 16 years old. I calculated about 16 years old. She was pretty old. She was a pretty old sister. But it was she and I. She was a gift for my husband. My husband gave it to her, and my husband gave her to me because he thought that I was depressed. He said, I think you're kind of down. You need something to cheer you up. So he brought home this little black, fuzzy, furry thing. People always say, what kind of dog was she? I always said she was a poodle wannabe. My husband tried to convince me she was a poodle. She wasn't. She wasn't a full-bred poodle. But she was like real close, but she wasn't a full-bred poodle. But anyway, she was my dog. She was perfect for me, full-bred not. And he brought her home for me, and, she was, I had her for 15 years, even through his death, And when she died, I posted that she was given to me to, cheer me up during a time of depression. And I said that she did her job, and she did it well. And, I had to put her to sleep, and now it's me. So, like I say, I have a circle of people in my life. I have a circle of friends in my life that are just wonderful, that have been there to support. But at this stage in my life, I feel like that God is drawing me closer to Him, having me be more dependent on Him for everything, my happiness, my financial stability, everything being totally dependent. But it's not easy. And I talk to people about this grieving thing, and I think that sometimes I feel like that we don't allow ourselves to grieve the way we need to. It's gonna come out sooner or later. It'll come out now, it's gonna come out later. And some people handle grief in different ways, and some people, what they think they're going through is one thing, but really a lot of times it's grief. And lately in this world today, we just had a lot to grieve about, Even if we agree, even the grief of it just is not gonna ever be like it used to be. And accepting that. I've been having conversations with God. One of the things that I realized that God has shown me, because when it's just you and God, man, God will show you. And if you ask Him to show you, He's gonna show you yourself. You just got to be ready for what you see. And one of the things that He pointed out to me is that I have problems with practicing the present, being in the present, being now, taking advantage of all the things that are going on right now. I miss out, and I've missed out on a lot of opportunities because I wasn't practicing the present. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you spend a lot of your time thinking about what it was like back then, or if you spend a lot of your time thinking about what it's going to be like tomorrow, you missing out on what you could have today. And that's what I was doing. And that's what God showed me. And when I asked and was trying to figure out, why do I do that? The thing that was made so clear to me is because I don't want to deal with what's going on in my today. I don't want to face it. It's hard. It hurts. It's uncomfortable. And because of that, I jump back into yesterday, or I jump into tomorrow, and like I say, I miss out on today. So when praying and asking God for forgiveness for missing out, and I know I've missed out on some wonderful things because I'm not focusing on what's happening right now. I know I've missed out on some wonderful things, and I ask God to forgive me. And when I was talking about the fact, but it's so hard, but looking at today is so hard, and what I'm having to deal with is so hard. it was like God said, well, everything that's going on today is not difficult. For right now, focus on what's good. And one of the things that's good is that I have God in my life. I have people that love me. The simple things. I got a roof over my head. I have means. Not only I have the means to go to the doctor. I've started seeing a low vision therapist about my eyesight. I have hope and belief today. I believe that things will get better. I think that my ladder will be greater. I have that. It's not today, but that's okay. I'm still having hope. And my faith is being renewed on a constant basis. So sometimes I just think it's important for people to understand where you're really coming from. Every day you can't, every day I can't. And I don't like perpetrating a fraud. If I'm sad, I'm sad. If I'm mad, I'm mad. Let that be known and have people deal with it the best way they can. But in the meantime, what I'm trying to do is practice the present, especially when I'm in the presence of God. Because being in the presence of God and not taking advantage of that is a sin and a shame in itself. That whenever I'm in the presence of God, if I'm not taking all that in, I'm losing out in a big way. That's talking, that's me talking. That's me. Where I'm at, what is going on. I hope that somebody out there, that this helps somebody out there. Whatever it is that you're going through, it will get better. It has to get better. You're not alone. Other people have gone through and pressed through and fought their way through, just like we're doing right now. You are loved. That's another thing I found out. I'm in a relationship with God, and I know God loves me, but I know I have a circle of friends and family that love me, and that's a good thing. So I think that's about it for me talking for right about now. I've talked and cried and but that's me. So, like I like to always say it, if you're not dead, God's not done. Don't forget Pregnant with Purpose podcast. Any device, streaming, all that other stuff. Y'all have a great one. Bye. This is a good one here. I went to the Social Security office the other day, and if anybody knows, the Social Security office is like a cajillion people in there. So, you have to wait for a number. Everybody has to wear a mask. It is mandatory that you wear a mask at that office. So they stand at the door with masks for people who don't have one. So I'm there. So they finally called my number. I mean, that's an adventure in paradise. So, I have the glaucoma problem. And, sometimes hearing can be a problem, especially when there's a lot of talking and, there are M2, come to, so I get there to the station I'm supposed to be at. There's a lady in there. She has on a mask. She behind a glass window. So she sits down and she's talking. Now, I'm having a hard time hearing her, right? So, she's asking me questions. Huh? What? And, she'd asked it again and blah. So finally, I get frustrated thinking that I would hear her better if I took off my mask. So, you old when you feel like your hearing will improve by taking off your mask, And when she said to me, ma'am, you're going to have to put your mask back on, I was like, oh, snap. I don't know why I thought I would hear you better if I took my mask off. That's when you know you're old. That's one for the books, y'all.